The federal government has been shut down for more than 2 weeks, and the White House is using the levers of the federal government, in effect, to blame Democrats. And that is coming, in fact, to your TSA lines.
Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government. And because of this, many of our operations are impacted, and most of our TSA employees are working without pay.
So the White House rolled out this video from DHS Secretary Kristi Noem to be played at airports, and several of those airports are refusing, including Portland. In a statement to CNN, the operator of Portland International says, "We did not consent to playing the video in its current form, as we believe the Hatch Act clearly prohibits use of public assets for political purposes and messaging." So the greater question to ask is why the Trump administration is using government resources to cast political blame. I was talking with the documentary filmmaker Raoul Peck. He's doing a new work on George Orwell, and Peck calls this kind of move Orwellian.
Yeah, but there is something that we can call the truth, even a mathematical truth. That's why we call the film 2 + 2 = 5. Because we have a number of people who wants you to believe that 2 + 2 = 5, and who can get you confused. Because when it's a voice of authority who comes on TV and tells you, you know what, as of today, 2 + 2 = 5. And by the time you start to understand, wait a minute, that's not what I remember. And the time is gone, and you're already submerged.
Yes.
By what you call the propaganda, basically.
Submerge is a good word.
Yeah.
It does feel like the water is rising sometimes.
That was the plan. Let's flood the zone.
Group chat is back. Michelle, I want to start with you because I also notice if you call the White House hotline, Caroline Leavitt pops up and says, "Hello, America. The Democrats don't want to fund the government because they want to fund health care for illegal immigrants." It's a very specific line. Can you talk about how they're using wherever they can to spread this message?
That's right. And it's not just there. I mean, government websites were getting this banner splashed across them. You couldn't miss it. It was a big red banner that had the same message. It started the first week of the shutdown. If you emailed the press office at the White House, you would get an automated response. And my understanding is that spread to other offices in the administration. There were some workers at the Education Department who said that without their knowledge, their own out-of-office replies were fashioned to a message like this. But this is all kind of in concert with the way the Trump administration has tried to put maximum pressure wherever they can and use political communication or political style communication wherever they can.
Can I ask my messaging folks about this? I'm sure there are consultants who would love to fantasize about putting their message everywhere they can. The Hatch Act actually says maybe it can't, and I thought it was interesting that Portland airport authorities brought it up.
So I actually make these ads for congressmen, and when we make these ads for congressmen, and for those of you at home, the congressional budget, and for each House office, they get around $350,000 to communicate with their constituents about what's going on in Washington and what bills. Let's say you have a VA claim, or you're having problems with some other something to do with the government. But in that, a lawyer has to see it to make sure that I'm not violating the Hatch Act by targeting Democrats, targeting Republicans. I can't even send a mailer based off of your political party. It has to be to the general public because it's your government money.
Yeah, it's funny. The documentarian is doing something on George Orwell, and I know a lot of people have read 1984. If you haven't, now's the time. But one of the concerns is about telling people, you can use the term propaganda, but basically telling people what you're seeing. The government is shut down. You're standing in line at the airport. Your workers aren't being paid. Is a very specific person's fault, according to me, and that is the fact. Instead of the fact of lawmakers are having a bipartisan fight, and that's prevented everyone from being paid.
There's two things here. One, as we all know, and I say this all the time, that the Trump administration is 100% willing to fight anything in the courts, but we're sitting here talking about exactly what they want us to be talking about, which is Democrats being blamed for the shutdown. I understand we're doing it different ways, but that's what they care about. Mm-hmm. So they're winning in their mind, and they'll fight this in the courts, which everything's being fought in the courts. I need to say one more thing about this. He was talking to me this weekend about being in East Texas. The American people do not want our government to be shut down, and our leaders on both sides need to get their act together and get back to work. I think this
So
is
to your
horrible.
point, that person you're talking about who thinks it's horrible, if they're standing in line at the airport, would they be looking up at that and be like, oh yeah, that's true,
Well, I
or are
think
they annoyed?
I think that they're annoyed on both sides. This
Yeah.
is why the Congress has such a low approval rating. I mean, in general, get back to work, figure it out. You can't have Republicans saying their thing. You can't have Schumer saying this is better for Democrats if it stays shut down. It just needs to stop.